This is your FBI. This is your FBI, an official broadcast of the Federal Bureau of Investigation, presented as a public service by the Equitable Life Assurance Society of the United States. To your FBI, you look for national security, and to the Equitable Society for financial security. These two great institutions are dedicated to the protection of you, your home, and your country. During the course of tonight's opening broadcast, you will hear from Mr. Thomas I. Parkinson, President of the Equitable Life Assurance Society of the United States, and Mr. J. Edgar Hoover, Director of the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Tonight's the story of a crime against the nation, espionage.
Spying is just like any other business. A spy gets paid so much a week to do so much work. And in most cases, that salary is small because most spies gather only small bits of information. But when these bits are pieced together in Berlin or Tokyo, the result is a stolen invention or a sunken convoy. That's why spies are ordinary people working in ordinary places. Places like a waterfront where ships can be watched. Places like a factory where parts for a new plane can be copied. Places like a bar where people talk, and talk too much.
Oh, brother, you should have seen. Yeah? She was steaming right into that bay when, boom, out from no place coming zero. Zero? Bang. Oh.
Bang is right.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I get any on you?
No, but it's all over you, Junior.
Willie. Willie.
Yeah, I'm sorry. 1,000 apologies, fair lady. 1,000,000.
Oh, look at that. Will you wipe it up, Willie, and get him another drink?
Sure.
Excuse me, young man.
You're awfully cute, Junior, but you're getting a little messy.
Poor battle wagon. She's sunk now.
Sunk off Guam?
Yeah, but they got a new one. The biggest, best. Well, it's a heck of a battle wagon.
It must be, Junior.
You're pretty.
You hear that, George?
Cheers. Where's my drink?
I'll get it right away, sir.
Where was I?
You were talking about that battle wagon.
Oh, yeah. Honestly. Say, I'll tell you what. Friday morning, you walk up to the top of the street here, and you'll see the newest battle wagon and the best maybe in the world come steaming down the bay. She's just been commissioned.
Excuse me, sir. It's still zipping on you.
Yes. Then you'll see a real ship.
Well, then let's drink to her.
No. Let's drink to you. To the most beautiful girl. Oh.
What's the matter, baby?
I don't feel so right.
Junior, now you've gone and
I
done
think
it.
I'd better...
Here you are, son. You go right back there.
Thanks. Excuse me. Be right back.
Poor Junior.
Oh, it's a shame. What is, Willie? Those kids, they want to enjoy themselves, so they sit with people and drink too much. They talk too much.
Talk too much.
Say, do you think I don't say you did anything. I just think it's a shame, that's all.
Let's get out of here, George. I'm sick of this dump.
Okay. Here you are. Thank you. What about your friend? Tell him we'll wait for him outside. That was in January 1943. Early in February, 3 letters were brought to the attention of the FBI. 3 pleasant letters typewritten in English. 3 innocent letters intercepted on their way to Switzerland. 3 friendly letters containing, among other bits of information, a report and description of the newest battleship launched by our Navy.
Come in. Hello, Dan.
Hi.
I've been waiting for you. Pull up a chair.
Thanks, Ross.
You look bushed.
Yeah, I am, kind of.
Why don't you try hitting the hay early?
Are you kidding? I was in bed at 11:30 last night. But starting at midnight, the phone rang every hour on the hour. My wife says she wishes she'd married a doctor instead of an FBI agent.
My wife's been wishing that for 15 years. Did you read those letters from Switzerland, Danny?
Yes. Very dull if you don't happen to catch the parts printed in secret ink on the back. Have they been sent to the laboratory yet?
No, they just got here.
Oh, we'll send them through. Check the printing on the back. It's in German, isn't it?
Yes. Not in code, though.
That's a help. Let's see. We'll have the ink checked, typewriter, paper. They're all signed Henry Brown.
Yes, and all postmarked New York City.
Why, there must be a slew of Henry Browns in a small town like New York. And it's probably an alias anyway.
That's my guess, too.
We'll check up on him anyway and see what the laboratory has to say.
A spy doesn't usually know exactly how much information he'll be able to pick up or exactly when or where he will get it. He knows, of course, that convoy movements in general are valuable, and he knows, too, that he may get this information from Navy or waterfront personnel. He knows he may be able to pick it up around the dock, but he's never sure just how much information will fall into his eager lap, just when, and from just whom. Sometimes it may come accidentally at an odd moment, such as during a practice air raid, a blackout, say, near the harbor in New York City.
Lights out! All lights out! Mrs. Johnson, turn out that bathroom light!
Quiet, listen. This is the blackout.
Mrs. Johnson! Turn out that bathroom light! Lights out! All lights out! That's you, Mr. Seeley?
Oh, good evening, Mr. Gordon.
Having trouble?
Just with Mrs. Johnson, as usual.
She's dark now.
Yeah, now, but I always have to yell my head off. She's a fine one. And my wife tells me she's always complaining about racing, too, and how she can't get enough coal. Quiet, listen, quiet.
Is Blitzen sick?
Hey, just had distemper. People like Mrs. Johnson ought to wake up and learn there's a war going on. Blackouts are very important.
If I weren't a warden, you wouldn't find me out tonight.
Aren't you feeling too good, Mr. Gordon?
My kid's home on liberty, and this is his last night.
Well, he'll be back soon.
Not this time. He says he's going on a convoy run to Russia.
Russia? Right at fifth.
Yeah.
And he's leaving tomorrow?
Or the day after.
Can you imagine? Just came back, too, from... Where was it?
Italy. But that was a short run. They just dumped some machinery there.
Airplane parts, probably.
No. For tanks, I think he said it was.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Oh, how's business at the bar, Mr. Seaburn?
Well, it's pretty good, thanks. Well, I think this will be a short blackout tonight.
I hope so.
Me, too. I got to write a letter before I go to bed.
Business?
No, it's to a friend in Switzerland.
Oh, you were over there in 41, weren't you?
Yeah, fine country. Well, good night, Mr. Gordon.
Good night, Mr. Seaburn.
A spy, you see, can be a very ordinary man. He doesn't have to live in a penthouse and drive a low-slung car. He doesn't have to work with a bulging wallet and an exotic woman. He doesn't have to employ gunmen disguised as chauffeurs or secretaries or waiters. He can be a waiter himself. A waiter in a waterfront bar. A waiter with a sick dog. A waiter named Willie Sebring. As a matter of fact, it's better for the enemy if he is, because ordinary men like Willie Sebring are hard to track down.
Well, Ross, we know what kind of a typewriter our friend used, and we've had every agent in New York checking on them.
What angle are you working on?
We're taking the chance that a good percentage of the drivel he writes in English to his Swiss friend is the truth. So we've drawn up a list of what the man's like, and we're checking that. Want to see it?
Yeah.
Here you are.
Thanks. Can speak and write both English and German fluently.
You can get that, of course, just from the languages used in the letters.
He's married, has a dog that had distemper recently, and lives near the New York harbor.
That's just a guess.
This is a good one. He probably poses as a great patriot, inasmuch as he is an air raid warden. He asked his friend in Switzerland to address him as Dear Willie in his letters. He came back from Europe in the spring of 1941. He was...
Wait a minute.
Get something?
I don't know. I'm looking over this letter you just brought in. Listen to this.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to wander through Lisbon again, particularly at this time of the year.
Lisbon, eh?
Yes. He came back from Lisbon in the spring of 41, Ross.
If he's writing the truth.
Well, we've got to take a chance on that.
What are you going to do?
Check on everybody who came into this country from Lisbon in the spring of 41.
We don't even know the name he came in under.
No, but we know what his handwriting's like. And if he came in from Lisbon, he had baggage. And if he had baggage, he had to declare it in his real name. And if he declared it, he had to declare it in handwriting.
Sure, but there must be hundreds of those baggage declarations.
There are thousands of air raid wardens, and with dogs.
Okay. Ever look for a needle in a haystack before?
Yep, I have. But this time, we're going to find it.
We momentarily close the Federal Bureau of Investigation file on the case of Willie Sebring. We will return to this case in just a moment. It is now my privilege to present the President of the Equitable Society of the United States, Mr. Thomas I. Parkinson.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. You deserve a clear and forthright statement of the reason why the Equitable has undertaken the sponsorship of these radio broadcasts. For 86 years, this mutual society has shielded the financial welfare of millions of American families. And whenever there has been an opportunity for the Equitable to serve the public interest, we have gladly undertaken that privilege. We believe that no medium more vital than this official FBI broadcast could be used to bring the society closer to its members and those who may become members in the future. Our business, too, is the business of safeguarding the security of the American family, whether it be through the provision of life insurance protection for your loved ones, or the protection of your homes and property, or the financing of industry to make more and better jobs, or the participation in war bond subscriptions and other war activities. In fact, in nearly every form of security other than the services rendered by your FBI, the Equitable considers itself your partner and your friend. Through the medium of these radio programs, we hope to let you know of the manifold ways in which the Equitable can serve and is serving you and your community. Our business is carrying on into the next generation the benefits of savings in this generation, public service and human relationships, the preservation of homes for widows and children, the education of sons and daughters, the security and comfort of thousands of elderly men and women living in retirement, and finally, the peace of mind of the American citizen is the mission of our society. And after all, there could be no closer parallel to the objectives of your Federal Bureau of Investigation.
Thank you, Mr. Parkinson. And now we continue with the file on the case of Willie Sebring, spy.
Being a special agent of the FBI is a business, too, but a business unlike any other. An FBI agent, for example, must be a college graduate or have a degree in law or accounting. He must go to school all over again when he enters the Bureau. He must be intelligent, observant, and thorough. So thorough that the notion of examining hundreds and hundreds of baggage declarations will not faze him. Actually, special agents of the FBI discovered that from February 1st to May 5th, 1941, boats sailing from Lisbon brought 3,095 aliens and 1,786 citizens to the port of New York. Approximately 5,000 people. Approximately 5,000 baggage declarations to check. Approximately 5,000 samples of handwriting to check against the handwriting on the letters to Switzerland. To match, to examine, to scrutinize, to sweat over, pore over, work over.
Wait a minute. I think he's got it. Yes. Here, look. You see that M? See that German F? Get the slant of the print here. Here. I think we've got it. I think the laboratory will back us up that Mr. William Sebring is our boy.
William Sebring, eh?
I'd almost swear to it, Ross.
What's the report on him?
He was born in Germany, but he became a citizen here in 1925.
That takes in the languages.
He's married, and he's an air raid warden.
Has he got a dog?
Well, the ASPCA has 3 dogs registered in his wife's name.
I see.
It follows all the way down the line, Ross. He lives near the harbor. He works in a bar near the harbor.
Come in.
This just came over the teletype.
Thanks.
Ross, if Willie Sebring isn't the man, no one is.
Sit down, Dan.
Huh? What's the matter?
Sit down. Mr. Hoover sent this over the teletype exactly 7 minutes ago. Concluded question script writing on intercepts this case, written by William Sebring. Baggage declaration and letter to bank written by Sebring. However, insufficient samples to ascertain whether Sebring hand-printed German messages in secret ink. Also, no typewriting specimens available for comparison.
Not enough proof.
I'm afraid not, Dan.
Okay. Now what?
I think Sebring's the man. I think Mr. Hoover does, too.
But we need more proof.
Yes. More samples of his handwriting. And his printing, if we can get it.
And typewriter specimens.
That's right. Get them, and we get Sebring.
I'm going to pay a call on Mr. Willie Sebring.
You may scare him.
Not this way. His wife rents rooms in their house. I've been instructed to be a roomer. I'll be a welder working in the Navy Yard. That ought to interest Willie.
Quiet, Preston. Quiet.
Hello.
Hello? Well?
Can I rent a room here?
Oh, well, I'm sorry. My wife takes care of that, and she's out now.
Oh, gee, that's tough. I wanted to get a room right away.
Why don't you try across the street? They've got a room there.
Oh, thanks. I guess it doesn't matter. Same distance from the Navy Yard.
Be quiet, Preston. Quiet.
Well, hello there, old sport.
Do you like dogs?
Sure.
Well, in that case, I'll tell you what. My wife will probably bite my head off, but we have a room on the top floor.
Oh, thanks. I don't want to get you and your wife.
No, it's all right. Come on in.
Well, thanks, Mr.
Sebring. Willie Sebring.
Dan Braddock.
Glad to meet you.
Thanks.
You know why I'm really giving you this room?
No, why?
The Navy Yard.
I don't get you.
Any man who works for the war effort, I do what I can for.
Say, you're a real patriot, Mr. Sebring.
100%. Fight this way. For $6 a week, the special agent posing as Dan Braddock, welder, rented a room from Willie Sebring's spy. And at the end of the week, that room was worth exactly $6 and no more. The agent found that Sebring left the house each day at 3 p.m., went to the bar, came home for supper at 8:30, and went to the bar until midnight. He found that there were 2 roomers in the house beside himself. He found that Sebring spent most of his time in the attic, which had a view of the harbor. Beyond that, he found nothing. And the letters to Switzerland had stopped. So on the afternoon of the 21st of May, Mr. Willie Sebring's hand was forced.
No, Blitzen, no. No, I said no. If you eat too much, you'll get sick again. Now, be quiet. Excuse me, Mr. Sebring.
Oh, hello, Mr. Braddock. Come on in.
Thanks.
Sit down.
Thank you.
Well, still on the night shift, huh?
Yeah.
Well, those new ships probably need very careful work.
Oh, they do, but they're honeys.
Oh, I'm sure.
I sneaked a picture of one I want to send to my kid brother. He's in the Pacific.
Picture, huh?
Yeah. Say, Mr. Sebring, I wonder, could you do me a favor?
Well, I'd be only too glad to, sure.
I want to send this package to the kid, but I can't address it. You see, I burnt my hand last night.
Oh, Ma, that's a shame.
Oh, it's not too bad. It doesn't bother me, except I can't hold a pen in it.
That's tough.
I was wondering if you had a typewriter in the house. You know, I could type up a label.
A typewriter?
Yeah.
No, there's no typewriter here. I'll tell you what, though, my handwriting isn't so good, but I could print the address for you in ink.
Swell. I'd appreciate
Well,
that.
there's no trouble at all. Listen, be quiet. That dog will be the death of me one of these days. Now, who did this go to?
Sergeant Fred Braddock.
S-E-R-D.
Once again, a handwriting specimen comes to the FBI laboratory. In all, 5,376 specimens were checked in this one case. But this is the last. This is it. This is proof, neatly signed by Willie Sebring himself. Only one thing more remains. One missing piece of evidence. One last final proof. A typewriter.
Hiya, Blitzen, old boy. What's the matter with you tonight, huh? Lonely for your master? Well, he'll be back later. But in the meantime, we'll have a little look around without him, huh? We'll see where he... Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, you done scared me out of my wits.
I really am sorry. I didn't mean to frighten you. My name is...
I know. You're Mr. Braddock.
How do you know?
Mrs. Sebring told me.
Well, I didn't know you lived here.
Well, I board here, but I've been away on a 2-week vacation.
Oh. Did you take your typewriter with you?
Why, yes. Why?
Oh, I was looking for one the other day.
Well, you can borrow this anytime you want. Everybody else in the house does.
From Mr. Sebring down, huh?
Mainly Mr. Sebring.
At 2:30 p.m. on the 5th of May, Willie Sebring left his house, walked to the corner, and waited for a bus. He never caught that bus because two special agents of the FBI came up, identified themselves, and asked him to go with them to their New York office to answer some questions. Willie Sebring smiled. He was a patriot, so he went willingly. At 3:15 that afternoon, he sat in conference room C on the 6th floor of the FBI office in New York.
Mr. Sebring, I want to tell you frankly that you don't have to answer any questions if you don't want to.
Oh, I consider it my duty as a citizen to answer questions. Don't you, Mr. Braddock?
We all do. But you understand, Mr. Sebring, that anything you say can be used against you later on.
Against me? Sure, of course I understand that, but if there's anything I've done, it certainly was done innocently.
Okay. Mr. Sebring, were you in Lisbon in the spring of 1941?
Why, yes, as a tourist.
Where were you born?
In Europe?
Germany?
Yes, but now I'm a citizen of the United States, of course. And I'm an air raid warden.
I know that.
Mr. Sebring, look at this baggage declaration. Did you write it?
Yes, when I came back from Lisbon.
Okay. Look at this package. Did you address it?
Well, yes, Mr. Braddock said it was for his brother. But I guess...
Mr. Sebring, look at this letter, please. No. Look at the back, where the secret ink has been developed. Did you write that?
Yeah. Could I have a cigarette?
Spying is just like any other business. Its market is the enemy. Its merchandise is talk, gossip, conversation in a bar, on a street, on a train. In time times like this, in wartime, the FBI is more alert, more watchful than ever. It has a tremendous job to perform. In this country, espionage is under control. But remember, talk is the merchandise of spying, and its market is the enemy. What you talk about in a public place may seem unimportant to you. But if it's anything connected with the war, you may be helping spies. You may be writing a letter to Tokyo or Berlin.
Before we close tonight's file, it is our special privilege and pleasure to introduce the director of the Federal Bureau of Investigation, who is in Washington, Mr. J. Edgar Hoover.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Your FBI hopes that these broadcasts will help you to know more about the organization which is dedicated to the safeguarding of your welfare and that of your family. Perhaps through these radio broadcasts, you will not only be entertained by the stories of your FBI in action, but you may also gain a better appreciation of your own personal responsibility to your family and to the community in which you live. And I want both you and Mr. Parkinson to know that, speaking for myself and for the whole Bureau, I am especially pleased that these messages are being brought to you under the sponsorship of another institution which likewise is dedicated to the security of the family, the Equitable Life Assurance Society of the United States. Every man, woman, and child in this nation should be alert and ever watchful for the slightest information which might lead to prevention of a crime by our enemies within and without the United States. While our fighting men all over the world are tonight meeting the enemy on land, in the air, and on the sea, it is the duty of every one of us to protect them by guarding the homeland they have left in our trust. It is my sincere hope that these broadcasts will enable you to know more about how to cooperate with your local police officials and every branch of law enforcement in your community. I also hope that you will come to know your FBI as a group of men and women who seek no personal glory and who are part of a great team serving you, your family, and the nation.
The incidents used in tonight's broadcast are taken from the files of the Federal Bureau of Investigation. However, all names used are fictitious. Any similarity thereof to the names of persons living or dead is accidental. In tonight's cast, the part of Sebring was played by James Van Dyke, Dan by Carl Swenson, and Ross by Jeffrey Bryant. Others in the cast were Francis Cheney, Helen Lewis, Will Hare, Chuck Webster, Jack McBride, and Brad Barker. The music for tonight's performance was under the direction of Van Cleve. The author was Lawrence MacArthur, and your narrator was Frank Lovejoy. This Is Your FBI is a Jerry Devine production. This is Carl Frank speaking for the Equitable Life Assurance Society of the United States, and inviting you to tune in again next week at this same time for This Is Your FBI. The Blue Network of the American Broadcasting Company.
Ladies and gentlemen, the story you are about to hear is true. Only the names have been changed to protect the innocent.
DRAGNET, Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime, investigated and solved by the men who unrelentingly stand watch on the security of your home, your family, and your life. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case from official police files, from beginning to end, from crime to punishment. This is the story of your police force in action.
Dragnet.
It was Tuesday, March 25th. It was cold in Los Angeles. We were working the night watch out of Homicide. Detectives in Los Angeles work in pairs. My partner's Ben Romero. He's a sergeant, so am I. My name's Friday. The boss is Ed Backstrand, chief of detectives. I was on the way back from the record bureau, and it was 13 minutes past 11 when I got to room 42. Homicide.
That's a hot shot. Somebody grab it.
I got it, Ed.
At 1245 East Doheny Street,
1245.
2 officers shot. At 1245 East Doheny
Doheny
Street,
Street.
2 officers.
Shot.
What have you got, Friday?
Read it.
2 officers shot. Where's Romero?
Right here, Skipper.
Okay, you've got one to roll on. Get going.
Both Ben and I knew where we were heading. We'd recognized the address. It was the Trapdoor Cafe, a joint in the south end of town that did business with a pretty rough crowd. 13 minutes later, we pulled up in front. 2 patrolmen had the crowd pretty well pushed back. There was a cruiser car in front of the cafe. The car door was open, and an officer was sprawled across the seat. He was conscious but weak, and one of his pant legs was pretty red.
Hello, Sarge.
Hi, how you doing?
I've done better.
Yeah, well, what happened?
Williams and I were cruising. We've been keeping an eye on this cafe lately. Tonight we decided to take a look. And just as we went in, 2 guys left in a hurry, the back door. We followed them out into the alley. It was dark out there, and I called to them. I said, "Hey, fellas, just a minute, I want to talk to you."
They stopped?
I'll say. One of them whirled. He had a gun in his left hand. He shot both of us.
Left hand, huh?
Williams went down and out. I went down, but I took a shot at them. No effect. And I started crawling out here to the car so I could call in.
You started crawling?
Yeah.
Wait a minute, Emerson. Weren't there any people around by that time?
Oh, yeah, quite a few ran out after the shots.
You mean nobody would help you to the car?
That's right.
Did you get a good look at either of the gunmen?
Well, one of them was tall. I think he was a redhead. There was something funny about his nose. That's all I saw. It's too dark out there. Williams was closer. I think he got a good look.
Joe, the other officer, Williams. He's in pretty bad shape.
Is he breathing?
He's still alive, Emerson. I don't know how much time he's got.
Ambulance?
On the way.
Okay, let's round up all the men who are in the cafe. We're taking them in. We took all the men back to the city hall. There were 23 in the Trapdoor Cafe at the time of the shooting. We questioned all of them. One of them said there had been a redhead in the place, but he couldn't describe him. Ben and I left the interrogation room, and we went back to the squad room.
Friday, Romero. Got a minute?
Yeah, Ed. Come on, Ben.
Sit down.
Okay.
You get anything from those people you questioned?
Nothing we could use.
How's Williams?
It's pretty bad.
When do they operate?
As soon as he comes out of shock. Probably in the morning.
You boys will be there.
Yeah, we will.
When the surgeon digs that slug out, get it and mark it for evidence.
Yeah. Skipper, them 2 men shot without asking any questions. They must be hot.
Yeah. Same thing occurred to me.
When we get that slug, the ballistics can tell us whether that gun's been used on other jobs.
We got enough of their modus operandi to have the statistician give us a run-through on the IBM now.
One of them is left-handed, and he shoots quick.
Okay, be in surgery tomorrow morning at 9.
Neither Ben or I said much on the way home, but we were both thinking the same thing. I knew the chief was thinking it, too. Here were 2 men who'd shot a couple of police officers without asking any questions. Now, I suppose you've heard a lot of stories about what the force thinks of cop killers. Sure, we don't like to lose our friends and partners any better than anybody else would. Why not figure it this way?
If these two guys would gun a couple of armed police officers, do you think they'd hesitate to shoot you, the unarmed citizen? The next morning at 9 o'clock, Ben and I had scrubbed up and we were in surgery. Williams was on the table. The surgeon started in. A lot of minutes later, he got the slug. As for Williams, they took out 7 feet of his intestine and said he might pull through.
Joe, here's the report from ballistics. The slug they took out of Williams come from a .44 Smith & Wesson. The same gun was used in a liquor store killing about a month ago.
You call the statistician?
Yeah, She's running all the cards on previous shooting through the IBM machine. She ought to be through about now. Let's take a look.
Okay, come on. Hi, Helen.
Just a second.
Okay.
Well, that's it, boys. These cards will give you all the shootings pulled by 2 men on foot who shot quick, one of them left-handed.
Right.
They're all yours.
You sure can tell a lot from just a bunch of little holes in these cards, can't you?
I can't, but this IBM machine can.
It never ceases to amaze me.
Okay, shall we check the cards, huh?
Yeah, sure.
Wait a minute, Ben. Here we are.
Huh?
Yeah. Here's that liquor store killing ballistics tied the Smith & Wesson in on.
Same gun that Emerson Williams was shot with?
Well, it checks out. The liquor store was in the same neighborhood as the Trapdoor Cafe.
Same gun, huh?
Got to be.
How long ago?
A month ago, yeah. Ben, take the DR number off this card and let's pull the crime report on that job. We pulled the crime report out of the files. It said that there was only one witness to that liquor store killing a month ago. That witness was a woman.
Miss Forbes, I'm sorry to disturb you like this, but we'd like to ask some questions about that liquor store killing you witness a little over a month ago.
Well, I told the police everything I knew about it then.
Yeah, we know, but maybe you wouldn't mind telling us again, huh?
Oh, no, I guess not. I've been trying to forget it, to tell the truth. It was pretty terrible, and I really didn't see so very much because I was awful scared.
I understand. But try to describe again just what happened, will you?
Well, it was about 10 o'clock at night. I was walking down the street toward home when I realized I was all out of cigarettes. Well, I was right in front of the liquor store then, so I went in. The clerk was behind the counter, and there were 2 men standing there arguing.
What's the idea of changing your mind? I thought we was going to get bourbon.
No, let's get the wine.
I want bourbon.
Costs too much. Wine's good enough.
The rest of them want bourbon, too. We better talk to them.
Well, okay. We'll be back when we make up our mind, mister.
2 men walked out of the store, and the clerk smiled at me and shrugged his shoulders. I bought a pack of cigarettes and turned to leave. But just then, the 2 men came back in again, and each of them had a gun in his hand.
This is stick up, mister.
The clerk just sort of crumpled to the floor. I couldn't believe my eyes, but that's just how it happened. The men said this is a stick-up, and then they shot him right away.
Get over against the wall, lady, or you'll get the same.
One of them punched a no sale on the cash register. I was shaking so I almost caved in. He scooped the money out of the drawer and stuffed it into his pocket. And then the other one went over to where the liquor clerk was lying face down. He knelt down beside the clerk and he put his gun against the clerk's spine. Then they both ran out of the store. Oh, it was terrible. That clerk, he was lying there helpless and wounded, and they deliberately...
Yeah, Miss Forbes, I understand.
Oh, Miss Forbes, you said that both of the men had guns.
Yes. One of the guns was black, and the other was sort of fancy looking.
What do you mean, Miss Forbes?
Well, it was real shiny.
Nickel-plated?
I wouldn't know about that, but it was shiny.
There were 2 guns, huh?
Yes.
Well, now about the men themselves.
Well, I was so scared their faces just didn't register with me. The one who shot the clerk in the back was sort of stocky. That's about the best I can do.
You mentioned in the report that one of the men was left-handed.
Yes, I do remember that.
Uh-huh. Look, Miss Forbes, this is very important to us. One of the men was a redhead?
Redhead? Why, no, I didn't see any redhead.
Skipper, me and Joe's run right smack into a stone wall on this thing.
What's the complication?
Well, there's more than one, Ed. In the first place, we know that the .44 Smith & Wesson was used in both shootings, but the descriptions of the men involved don't check.
Police officer Emerson said he thought the man that shot him and Williams outside the Trapdoor Cafe was a tall, left-handed redhead. Said there's something funny about his nose.
You think Williams got a better look at him?
Well, he probably did, but Williams isn't strong enough to talk yet.
And a girl that witnessed the liquor store killing a month ago said that one of those men was left-handed. But she said neither of them was a redhead.
And on top of all that, now we've got 2 guns to worry about. The girl mentioned 2 guns, so we checked the autopsy report on that liquor clerk. And Ed, the bullet that actually killed him came from a .32-20, not a .44 Smith & Wesson.
That fact didn't get any publicity at the time, did it?
No, it didn't.
Okay. We won't give it any publicity now either. We'll allow down it's just the .44 Smith & Wesson we're after. Because if whoever owns the .32-20 finds out it's hot, we'll never get it. Anything else?
Well, we sent teletypes to all outlying stations in neighboring cities. Told them if they get any red-headed suspects, no matter what charge they got them on, to hold them for questioning.
Yeah. Now, how about this .32-20, the actual murder weapon? Any leads on it?
We've got one, Ed. We've been checking the records, and we discovered that 4 hours after the liquor store killing, a taxi driver in the neighborhood was shot and robbed.
Slug was pretty well mashed, but there was enough to tell it was from a .32-20. So we're going over to question the taxi driver now.
Good. Well, I think you boys are on the right trail. So far, what we've got is mostly unrelated facts, but sooner or later, those facts have all got to tie in at some point along the line. Find that point.
Yeah, find the point. Find the tie-in. Well, Ben and I went over to see the taxi driver, a guy who was living on borrowed time.
Yeah, it was about 2 o'clock in the morning when it happened. I got a call to pick up a fare near 105th and Avalon, you know. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, I got there. Somebody came over, pulled open my cab door, and said, "This is a stick-up." Then blew it. You let me have it.
Just like that, huh?
Yeah, just like that.
Same deal as others, Joe. Itchy trigger finger.
Yeah. Did you get any kind of a look at the fella?
Look, no, it's too dark.
Uh-huh.
Hey, according to the report, you got shot in the chest.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, you're maybe wondering how come I'm still alive, huh? I'll tell you, pal, it's like something you'd see in a bad movie, you know? I'm carrying a few silver dollars with me, 9 of them to be exact. So I decided to stick them in my breast pocket. Well, mister, that just saved my life. The slug hit them silver dollars.
It's one for the book, huh?
Yeah, you said it.
Well, thanks very much. Say, incidentally, we had a little trouble finding you today. You weren't at the stand you operated out of last month.
Oh, look, I'm not only not at my usual stand, I'm not driving a hack no more.
Oh?
Look, after what happened, are you kidding? No, I don't want to push my luck any further than it's been pushed. Yeah, I figure I had it, you know?
And about that time, Ben and I were beginning to figure we'd had it. We were getting nowhere fast. We had a few informants nosing around, but so far they hadn't come up with any leads. Well, Ben and I followed up all the teletypes that poured in. We just got back from Santa Ana, where we'd been questioning a red-headed suspect, and we'd flopped in the squad room when Chief Backstrand's door opened.
Friday. Romero. Got a minute?
Yes, Skipper.
Any luck with the Santa Ana redheads?
No, none at all.
I guess you haven't heard the latest.
We just now got back in town, Skipper.
Early this morning, another cab driver got shot.
What?
Yeah. Man came up to his taxi, opened the door, said, "This is a stick-up," and shot him. Bullet went through one leg and into the other, but the driver managed to start his cab and drove over to a cafe. He called in from there.
Boys recovered the slug?
Yeah. It came from the same .44 Smith & Wesson that was used in the other 2 jobs.
The cab driver get a look at the gunman?
Yeah, briefly.
Was it the redhead?
No.
Oh, the stocky guy.
He wasn't redheaded and he wasn't stocky. That's all the driver knows.
Well, that's great.
Skipper, this is beginning to sound like a Gun of the Month club. You reckon somebody's renting them guns out?
Well, they're passing the guns around all right, but I think they're working together. The way they operate indicates that.
Yeah, the trigger-happy routine.
Killing is apparently more than a business to them. It's pleasure, too. That's why we've got to get to them fast. Come over here.
All right. Come on, Ben.
Here. Take a look at this map.
Uh-huh.
Here's the Trapdoor Cafe, and over here's the liquor store. And down here is where the first cab driver got shot.
Mm-hmm.
Right here's where the second one got it. All of the shootings have taken place within an area of 10 square blocks. Okay. Tonight we're going to throw a blockade around that whole area.
Good.
It'll go into effect at 10 p.m.
At At 9:45 p.m., cars and officers started drifting into the area by twos and threes. And at 10, when Backstrand, Ben, and I arrived, the whole area was sewed up tighter than a tick.
Now, code 3. Pacific Ambulance
Davis?
1.
Gotcha.
Call
All set?
All
set. We got a primary line and a secondary line. If anyone tries to make a break, we'll pick him up in the secondary.
Okay. Friday and Romero here will cruise around the area with me. Go to work, men.
Every car in the area was shaken down. The same process was also followed on all persons on foot. The blockade went on all night. By the end of that time, we'd brought in 217 suspects. 26 of them were redheads.
What's your name?
Henry Wagner.
Where do you work?
Lumberyard.
Which one?
4-star.
What time did you get through work last night?
About 6, I guess.
What'd you do then?
Had some dinner.
Where?
Harry's Grill.
And what?
Shot a little pool. Look, I tell you, I ain't done nothing.
Now, let's go back to the day before yesterday. Did you work at...
And that's the way it went all day long. We shot question after question at them, working them gradually back to the days on which the shootings had taken place. When it was all over, we got 6 men wanted in other cities on various charges. We got quite an assortment of guns and knives. But as far as the shootings were concerned, we got nothing.
Well, I guess that's the last of them.
Oh, I was running out of questions there at the end.
You two boys better go on home, get some sleep.
Well, I was kind of figuring on checking back over the reports to see if we might have overlooked something.
I said go on home. You two boys have been at it for 32 hours straight. Look at you. You're both so groggy you can hardly stand up. You need sleep. It's 4 p.m. now. Don't come back until 10 p.m.
When I walked into the squad room at 10, Ben was already there. An informant had just phoned in a new lead. He told Ben he'd heard about a gang that had been hanging out down around the DeVere bungalow court in the south end of town. We knew that the DeVere was close to the Trapdoor Cafe, so we went over to talk to the manager.
Joe, I've been meaning to ask you. You checked on how Williams is getting along?
Yeah, I did. I called the hospital this afternoon. It's going to be all right.
Oh, that's fine.
Well, here we are.
Yeah, manager's office. Still got a light on.
Yeah?
I'm Sergeant Friday, police. This is Sergeant Romero.
Yeah?
We'd like a little information.
Why, sure. Come in.
Thank you.
What can I do for you?
Well, did you hear anything about a gang that hangs out down around here anywhere?
Gang? Why, no.
How about your tenants here? Any of them ever been in trouble, to your knowledge?
No. This ain't exactly the best neighborhood in town, but we try to keep things under control. Once in a while, one of them will get out of line, but when that happens, we heave them out of here.
You heaved anybody out lately?
Yeah, I did. Fellow and his wife a few weeks ago. They had a fight in one of the bungalows. She took a shot at him, but she missed. Party by the name of Stuba, Carl Stuba.
What did this Stuba look like?
Oh, sort of tall, skinny.
Was he a redhead?
No.
Now, we'd like to take a look at that bungalow that he lived in.
Sure. Help yourselves. Down the end there, number 5. Still vacant.
Well, I guess that does it. Stuba didn't leave a thing behind. Matter of fact, we don't have anything to prove that this Stuba's tied in at all. We're only working on a hunch.
Hey, Joe, look.
Where?
Up on the wall there, just by the window.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that plaster there, it's newer than the rest. You got a knife?
I sure have, boy, and I'm carving. That manager'd be awful unhappy with me if he was here.
Yeah, he would.
Yeah, it must... Hey, Joe, here it is. A slug. They plastered right over it.
Okay, dig it out, and let's hope it matches. It matched. The slug from the wall came from the same 44 Smith & Wesson that had been used in the other shootings. So now we had a name to work on, Carl Stuba. But he'd done a good job of dropping out of sight. Well, the next day, Ben thought he had another lead.
I've just been talking to another informant, Joe. He says he heard that there's a fella down in that neighborhood been trying to sell a gun lately.
What kind of a gun?
Nickel-plated with steer horn handles.
Nickel-plated? Well, maybe that's our 44 Smith & Wesson.
Maybe.
Did the informant know who this man was?
Said the feller's name was Alonzo.
Yeah. Alonzo who?
Just Alonzo. That's all he knew.
So now we had two names, Stuba and Alonzo, but no men to go with them. So we went back to making the rounds of the substations, interviewing red-headed suspects. We took a few of them to Williams, who was home from the hospital by now, but he couldn't identify any of them as the man who shot him. Still, we kept checking. Finally, we got around to the 77th Street station. We questioned the suspects they were holding there, and we just started to leave when one of the officers called us.
Hey, Sarge, we're holding somebody else you might want to look at.
Redhead?
No.
What's the charge?
Suspicion of burglary. Small job.
Oh, I don't know. What do you think, Ben?
What's special about him?
He lives in the same neighborhood where those shootings took place.
All right. Where you got him?
Down here.
He admit anything?
Nope. He's pretty surly. Here we are.
Thanks. Hi.
What do you want?
I'm Sergeant Friday. This is Sergeant Romero. We'd like to ask you a few questions.
Look, I already told the other cops all I know. I didn't steal no radio from that jerk.
What's your name?
We've been through all that once.
Come on, what's your name?
Jackson. Alonzo Jackson.
Alonzo. I looked at Ben, and Ben looked at me. This could be the Alonzo who'd been trying to peddle that Smith & Wesson. Ben and I both knew here was one suspect we'd have to be real careful with.
Alonzo, according to the records, this burglary you're suspected of took place on the night of the 27th.
Look, how many times do I have to tell you guys they didn't have anything to do with it?
You got an alibi for that night?
Sure, I got an alibi. I was out with a couple of friends, I can tell you.
What's your friends' names, Alonzo?
One of them's Crandall, the other Stuba.
Stuba, the guy who used to live in the bungalow court. Well, we told Alonzo he'd have to produce his two friends to give him an alibi for the burglary charge, and he bit. He went with us, and he pointed out where Stuba was living now. No wonder we hadn't been able to find him. It was a little shack at the back of a lot behind two houses. We thought it was a chicken coop at first. We took Alonzo back to the station, then we picked up Stuba. He was surprised to see us and not very happy. We took him in. Next, Alonzo gave us Crandall's address.
Yeah?
Mr. Crandall in?
No.
Will he be back soon?
I don't know. Who are you?
Sergeant Friday, Sergeant Romero, police.
What do you want with him?
Oh, nothing important, lady. We just wanted him as a witness.
Oh. Well, I don't know just when he'll be back. Probably an hour or two.
Okay, thank you.
We went down the street away, and we staked out in the car. We sat there for about 5 hours, and then Ben nudged me in the ribs.
Hey, Joe. Huh? Joe, take a look. Coming along the sidewalk.
Yeah, and he's got red hair. Come on. Crandall.
Huh?
Your name Crandall?
Who are you?
Friday Romero, police.
Police? What do you want with me? I haven't done nothing.
Well, then you got nothing in the world to worry about. Come on.
We questioned Crandall for an hour, but he wouldn't give an inch. Denied everything. Then we put him in a car, and we drove over to Officer Williams' house. I left Ben in the living room with Crandall while I went in Williams' bedroom.
Hello, Sarge.
Hi, Williams. How you doing?
A little better, I think.
That's fine. Look, we've got another redhead outside.
Bring him in.
Okay. All right, Crandall, come on in here.
Who's in there? Why'd you bring me over here?
Come on in here. How about it, Williams?
That's the guy.
No, I'm not.
That's the guy that shot me.
Well, Crandall?
No.
Yeah.
It was an accident. I didn't mean to shoot him. It was an accident.
Once Crandall got started, he talked his head off. He also admitted being in on the liquor store killing, but insisted he was only the lookout. We took him back to the station and got his whole story down on a tape recorder. Yeah, he was left-handed. Then we went back to Alonzo, who didn't know we had Crandall's confession. We met the chief in the hall outside the room where they were holding Alonzo.
About ready to tie the knot?
Oh, hope so, Chief. But Alonzo hasn't given any yet, and we still haven't found those guns.
We've got one of them.
Which one?
The Smith & Wesson. Stuba popped about that one 10 minutes ago. Said he left it with his girl. A couple of the boys are on their way over to get it now.
That's good, Ed. That leaves just the 3220.
You haven't mentioned the 3220 to Alonzo, have you?
No. He still thinks we're after that Smith & Wesson, and that's the way we're going to play it right now.
Go ahead.
Look, how much longer are you guys going to hold me here? Didn't you check with those friends of mine?
Alonzo, we got a tip that you've been trying to sell a gun lately.
A gun?
Yeah, 44 Smith & Wesson.
Oh. No, it's not true.
That Smith & Wesson's been used in a couple of robbery jobs this month, and we think it's your gun.
That's a lie.
Any proof of that?
Why, yeah. Sure, I got proof of that. I used to have a gun, but it wasn't a Smith & Wesson. Look, if I tell you where it is, that ought to convince you, shouldn't it?
It'll help things.
Okay. I sold it to a neighbor of mine. He gave me $7. I'll give you his address.
You sure it's not a Smith & Wesson?
Sure, I'm sure. It's a 3220.
Yeah, it worked. We went to the neighbor's address, and he admitted having bought the 3220, but said he'd lent it to a friend who'd never returned it. The friend had hocked the gun to a barber. The barber gave him $15 and a haircut for it. We finally got it from the barber, and we came back to the station.
I'm all set, Joe. I'll be in the next room. Just give me the nod.
Okay. Hello, Alonzo.
Hey, you got the gun.
Yeah, we got the gun.
Well, now maybe you'll believe I'm on the level. Okay if I go now?
I guess we won't be able to hold you here much longer.
You can say that again, brother. You could have saved a lot of time if you'd have listened to what I've been trying to tell you all along.
I guess you're right, Alonzo.
Sure, I'm right. You know, you guys would be a lot better off. You believe guys like me the first time we tell you something.
But on the liquor
Instead
store
of
job,
running-
I was only a lookout. I was outside. It was the other two who pulled that one. Stuba and Alonzo. Alonzo killed the clerk.
Hold it, Alonzo.
Dirty,
All
screaming
right,
rat.
Alonzo, that's enough. Now, come on, how about it?
Now, what's the use? All right. That's like he said.
Okay, Ben, bring the recorder in here. Alonzo's ready to make a record now. By playing back Crandall's statement that we'd recorded earlier, we got a full confession from Alonzo. We took the three of them out and had them reenact the 4 shootings, and we photographed it on sound film. Crandall, the redhead, was the one who'd shot the 2 police officers, but he was only the lookout for the liquor store killing, which explains why the girl witness didn't see him in the store. Stuba and Alonzo were the ones who pulled that job, and Alonzo, the worst of the bunch, was the one who put the 3220 against the spine of the wounded clerk. The 3 of them took turns at shooting the cab drivers and robbing them. That accounted for the mixed-up descriptions, including all that left-handed business. 2 of the 3 suspects happened to be left-handed. Well, that was the crop. Crandall, Alonzo, Stuba. 4 shootings, 3 robberies, 4 attempted murders, 1 murder. The 3 men were tried and convicted. They're all in the state penitentiary. Crandall's there for life. Alonzo and Stuba, they'll be executed next week. File it, will you, Ben? Case closed.
Dragnet.
The story you have just heard was true. Only the names were changed to protect the innocent.
You have just heard the second in a new series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice for Dragnet comes from the office of C.B. Horrell, Chief of Police, Los Angeles Police Department.
Tonight's program is dedicated to Radio Officer Delmer E. Cook of the Los Angeles Police Department, who, on the afternoon of December 6, 1948, gave his life so that yours might be more secure.
Dragnet came to you from Los Angeles. This is NBC, the national broadcasting company.
There's a full serving of laughs on the menu at Duffy's Tavern tonight with Archie the Manager, played by Ed Gardner. Archie's colleagues in comedy are Miss Duffy, Clifton Finnegan, and Eddie the Waiter. This Sunday, the big show comes your way once again on NBC. And just listen to a few of the stars who'll be with you. Fred Allen, Jack Carson, Mindy Carson, Ed Archie Gardner, Ed Wynn, and many, many more. And of course, your MC will be Tallulah Bankhead. Listen Sunday for The Big Show. Ladies and gentlemen, that phone bell means exciting adventure. Hello? Hello? The handsome young man answering the phone is Archie Goodwin. A mountain of a man engrossed in deep thought in the oversized armchair is Nero Wolfe.
Hey, boss. Oh, Mr. Wolfe. Mr. Wolfe. There's a guy on the phone wants us to take a case. Seems that someone was mad at a guy who was mad, and now this guy on the phone is mad, wants us to find out who did the killing. What do you say, Mr. Wolfe? We need the money. Hello? Yes, Mr. Wolfe says he'll be happy to take the case. Just present yourself and a check for $2,000 at 601 West 35th Street at 11 o'clock. Mr. Wolfe can't wait till you get here. He's dying to go to work. Goodbye. Greatest detective in the world. The only trouble is, he is.
Yes, listeners, Archie is so right. He is the greatest detective in the world, and the fattest, and the least energetic. He's Nero Wolfe, created by Rex Stout and brought to you over this NBC network in a new series of adventures by Mr. Sidney Greenstreet. Tonight, it's The Case of the Beautiful Archer. That's a good title. And it was a good case, too. It began in the consulting room of Dr. Raynard Townley of the Townley Sanitarium, skipping a jump north of Nyack, New York, when a very lovely young lovely glared across the desk at the good doctor.
Shall we pretend you don't know who I am, Dr. Townley?
How could we possibly do that, my dear Diana Lawrence? 23 years old, daughter of one of our better-known sculptors, Michael Lawrence. You were born in Johannesburg, educated in London and Paris, and live at present 100 yards from here in your father's cottage on Berry Hill Lane. How's that?
It's intended to be staggering, isn't it?
You take no cream or sugar in your coffee, were winner of the Women's National Archery Tournament for 1947, and have an exceedingly high temper.
Let's stop the nonsense. You have an inpatient here named Willard Garth. Well, Willard Garth happens to be my fiancé.
Yes, he has mentioned the fact during his analysis.
And, well, has he by any chance mentioned his reasons for suddenly refusing to see me during the past 5 weeks?
He didn't have to, Miss Lawrence.
Well, what do you mean?
I mean that I recommended he give you up as a bad job.
What? Yeah, well, I suppose you had some purpose in saying what you did.
Of course. I'm the boy's doctor. You think you're in love with Willard Garth, I know, but actually, you're infatuated with the Garth millions.
You take a lot on yourself, don't you, Doctor?
I consider it important to relieve Willard of all painful external pressure.
You've done well for Willard, Dr. Townley, relieving him of me.
I think so.
Now, let's see you relieve yourself of me.
You, purchased the gun for this occasion, Miss Lawrence?
Yes.
And what exactly do you hope to accomplish with it?
A quick and complete reversal of your decision about me. I'm not as easy to handle as Willard is, you see. And if you intend to ruin my life, then I intend to end yours, here and now.
The phone is ringing.
Let it ring.
Just as you say. It's the house phone, Miss Lawrence. It may be Willard, you know.
Oh, Willard?
Yes, he usually phones me from his room at about this time every day.
Well, all right. Answer it, but be careful what you say.
You're in command, it seems. Hello? Oh, why, hello. I thought it would be you, Willard. Look, my boy, Diana Lawrence is here. I've had a talk with her, and I've reconsidered my opinion. Yes, I'm quite serious. If you're at all sensible, you see her regularly and plan on a marriage as soon as you're discharged. Yes. Oh, you do? Very well. I'll see if she'll talk to you. Miss Lawrence.
Yes?
Do you want to speak with him?
Give me the phone.
Of course. Here you are, and I'll take this gun. There we are. Now, Stand away, Miss Lawrence.
But Willard's on the phone.
Willard is not on the phone. No one was on the phone. The ring came from the push-button bell under my desk here.
Oh.
Sometimes I find it convenient to interrupt my consultations with a phone call.
Oh, you smug, deceitful, self-sufficient...
Murder is a vexatious business. You'll be grateful to me one day.
All right. Give me my gun and let me go.
The gun, I'm afraid, stays with me. Here in this Majolica cabinet. I'd scarcely feel justified in trusting you with it. And now, with your permission, or without it, the interview is ended.
Later that day, the phone in the Lawrence house on Berry Hill Lane began to jingle. And this time it was no phony.
Hello?
Diana?
Yes?
Willard, darling. Diana, darling, it's Willard.
Imagine. Has the doctor let you use the telephone just as if you were a great big adult?
Oh, I've got to see you, sweetheart, and I didn't call you to argue. Love, beauty, understanding, that's what matters. Isn't it? Isn't it?
Do I hear the overtones of a change of heart?
Oh, Diana, what's happened wasn't my fault. He poisoned me against you.
Then why don't you walk out of that amateur nut house and stand up like a man?
I probably shall, Diana. And now, please listen to me. He's letting me have the limousine tonight from 8 until 12. I want us to go for a ride and talk until everything is clear. Clear as a bell, my baby.
Don't tell me he's trusting you to drive.
Oh, no. No, one of the handymen here will chauffeur us. Oh, say you'll come, Diana. Will you? Say it. Say yes. Say you will.
Well, yes, Willard. I'll be glad to.
8 o'clock, then?
8.
Oh, bless you. Bless you, my angel.
Oh, so that's it. You want my father's money. That's what you love, not me.
Willard, the chauffeur will hear you.
It's the way Townley says it is. He's right. He's right.
Oh, why did I let you talk me into this? What a fool I was to have come at all. You're sick inside, Willard, so utterly, hopelessly sick.
Oh, so now I'm hopelessly sick.
Yes, you are.
You're trying to confuse me. Take advantage of me. Wind me around your finger. Just because I love you too much. That's it. That's my illness. Of course, I see it now. You're the thing I must get rid of. You with your beautiful, beautiful face and your twisted values. You're at the bottom of all my agony.
Willard! Willard!
I'm saving myself. I'm saving myself. Once you're dead, the sickness is ended. I'll be safe. I'll be safe. I'll be safe.
Willard.
Dr. Townley?
Yes.
Come in. Mr. Wolf's been expecting you.
Come in, Dr. Townley. Come in. Have a chair.
Thank you, Mr. Wolf. I'm so happy you've agreed to take this case.
Have a glass of beer.
Oh, no. Never at this time of morning, thank you.
Well, Doctor, the newspapers check with what you told me. The girl and young Garth went out for a ride in your limousine last night. The car was driven by one of your handymen.
That's right. Haynes, his name is.
And they never came back. Young Garth was found dead in the car with 2 bullets in him. The girl was gone, and also Haynes, the handyman chauffeur, huh?
Correct, sir.
Have you any idea where he could be?
No, sir.
And the young lady, tell me about her.
She's Diana Lawrence, daughter of Michael Lawrence.
The sculptor?
The sculptor. She lives with him in a small cottage near my sanatorium on Berry Hill Lane. An extremely aggressive and self-centered female with more than a slight flair for violence.
Your description might easily lead me to suspect her of this murder, sir.
Well, I'm aware of that. And I don't think you'll be far off the mark. As I told you on the phone, she tried to murder me yesterday morning.
The police have made no headway in locating her?
No, the Homicide Division has contacted her father, but he's remained quite noncommittal. He simply says that he's sure she's incapable of killing a fly and that he hasn't laid eyes on her since 8 o'clock last night.
Highly suspicious behavior.
She was unquestionably in the car with young Garth when he was murdered.
She wasn't alone in the car with him.
You're referring to Haynes?
Yes, but he can't be found either, remember?
It appears that he failed to list his address on his job application. But somehow, Mr. Wolf, I'm quite sure he'll show up this afternoon.
Somehow, Dr. Townley, if I were you, I wouldn't be quite so sure. We must begin by facing the initial problem of locating our suspects. Archie.
Yes, sir?
Get out the car and drive up to the house on Berry Hill Lane.
And then?
There you will ask Mr. Michael Lawrence to be sensible enough to cooperate with us in finding his daughter.
And if the answer is no?
I recommend, Archie, that you flatly refuse to take it.
Mr. Lawrence was no simple baby to handle. He was in a studio when I walked in, chiseling on a statue of a boy and a girl, both wearing less clothes than the law allows. And before I got a chance to state my name, he commenced giving me a free lecture on the marble work of art.
She's good. Really good. She's practically superb. The Ariadne.
The what Ariadne?
The girl in the statue.
Oh.
That's Ariadne, tragic nymph of Greek mythology. Don't tell me you're not familiar with Apollo and Ariadne.
All right, I won't.
The Apollo, on the other hand, is unfinished. The face, you see, it lacks something. The passion of yearning, Olympian desire. And yet, you know, the two figures have motion.
Like your daughter?
Eh?
Your daughter, Diana, she's got motion also. As I hear it, she's been in motion ever since she murdered Willard Garth last night in the back end of a limousine.
So you're another flatfoot.
Not exactly. I'm paid in private by Nero Wolf.
Nero Wolf?
Yeah.
You don't mean that a creditable man like Wolf thinks Diana killed young Garth?
Well, he'd like to talk over the possibility with her.
How laughable. Look at that face. Is there anything of the murderous in a face like that?
In a face like what?
Oh, I'm sorry. Diana posed for the Ariadne, you see, and the likeness is exact. You think a girl of this type, classic, sensitive, civilized, could descend to the clumsy, brute level of murder?
Well, it's a little hard to imagine.
There. Even you agree with me.
On the other hand...
Shall we discuss the other hand over a cup of coffee? I'm quite exhausted.
If you insist.
I do. Sit down and inhale the atmosphere of culture at its source. There's a pot warming on the stove.
Pot of what? Coffee or culture? Well, wait and see what he means. Could never ignore a phone call. Who knows? Might be something important. Yes?
This is Diana, Father.
Oh, yes, Diana.
It's all over the papers.
Yes, I know.
Well, I don't think they'll find me where I am, and I'm staying here until things quiet down a little.
Where are you, honey?
What did you say?
I said, where are you?
You said honey. Daddy, you never call me honey.
I know it's because I'm excited. Where are you, sweetheart?
Well, you mustn't let anybody find out.
Not a soul in the world. Where are you?
Well, you know where Tyne Pike turns off to the left beyond Bardsville?
Yes?
Well, I'm...
Call me later, Angel.
But, Father,
Oh, get that motorman's number.
You will live, my friend, but not long if you don't control your curiosity.
You hit me. With that mallet you hit me. What was the big idea?
Do you really have to ask that question? Weren't you trying to trick my daughter into disclosing her whereabouts?
The police are pretty interested in her whereabouts.
Then let them find her. But you can't be surprised, my friend, if I choose to protect Diana's interests.
So he's working on an Apollo and Ariadne, is he, Archie?
Who cares about Apollo and Ariadne? The point is how he worked on my gourd.
That, of course, was unfortunate, my boy, but... You get that piece?
Mm-hmm. Hello?
Inspector Kramer.
Hold it. For you. Here.
Thanks. Yes?
Wolf?
How are you, Inspector?
I hear you're in on the Garth killing.
Not very deeply, I am afraid. We are still trying to locate the Lawrence girl.
Well, you can forget about that.
Yeah?
Yes, we've already located her and released her on a habeas corpus.
That sounds interesting.
Her father had a lawyer on our heads before she was in here 10 minutes.
Too bad you couldn't have held on to her.
Oh, I don't know. I'm not so sure we want her.
Why not?
Well, first of all, it's not likely she did it.
No?
No. Ballistics stated that the bullets that killed Willard Garth were not fired from point-blank range. And she was sitting beside him on the back seat.
I see.
Also, we found the murder weapon in the grass near where the limousine was parked, and she admitted it was hers.
That sounds like a poor reason to release her.
Well, the point is she wasn't in possession of the gun when the killing happened. At least so she says.
No, who what?
That doctor.
What doctor?
Townley. The guy who runs that sanitarium. According to her, he took the gun away from her for safekeeping at noon yesterday.
There was a little more talk between them, something about fresh cigar ashes that were found in the dashboard ashtray of the limousine. After that, the boss hung up and exerted himself enough to put a call through to the Townley Sanatorium.
I'm afraid the doctor is very busy just now.
So am I, and my business happens to be highly important.
Well, I'll say you called, Mr. Wolf, and I'll ask him to contact you just as soon as he has a free moment.
Do you happen to have a free moment, miss?
Why, well, yes, sir.
Could you spend it by telling me if that handyman, Mr. Haynes, is being located?
Why, yes, as a matter of fact, he has. One of the staff just found out where he lives, Mr. Wolf.
Well?
He has a little cottage at 206 Dockside Road. That's out near Sheepshead Bay.
Thank you. Archie.
I'm going someplace, I suppose?
You are? You're going to Sheepshead Bay.
Hello there. Looking for a guy I can't find. Oh? Yeah, his name is Haynes. Stopped at the cottage up there, but there's no one there. I saw you here on the wharf fishing, so
What did you say his name is?
Haynes. Haines.
Oh, Haynes.
Yeah, do you know him?
Well, there's a fella named Hines used to fish out here.
No, not Hines. Haynes.
Couldn't be Huntingburg?
No, it couldn't be. The name is Haynes. Hain.
Haynes, give me a hand here, eh?
Well, what do you know?
Funny, huh? That guy seems to think my name is Haynes.
Yeah, so do I.
You do?
Yes, I... I got back to our house soaked to the skin and minus Haynes, and just in time to see the boss in the exhausting process of walking across the room to answer the phone.
Hello?
This is Dr. Townley. You called me.
So I did.
About the murder?
More specifically, about the statement from Diana Lawrence that you removed a firearm from her possession yesterday morning.
That's quite correct. It's here in my Majolica cabinet.
Is it?
Of course it is.
I suggest you check.
Just a moment. Mr. Wolf.
Yeah?
I'd like to see you at once.
The gun, I suppose, has vanished.
What? How did you know?
Because it is at ballistics, Doctor. It turned out to be the gun that killed Willard Garth.
I see.
Do you?
Yes. I understand everything now. It's all so crystal clear.
Just how crystal clear?
I'm quite certain, Mr. Wolf, that I can put my finger on the killer.
And I think it would be well if you came here immediately.
No, I'm afraid it's impossible, sir. There's an important operation scheduled, and I simply cannot leave.
What do you suggest?
Well, is it outside the realm of possibility that you come here? Is it, Mr. Wolf? Hello, Mr. Wolf. Mr. Wolf?
When my boss has to leave the house, it's a major tragedy. Sometimes he rages, sometimes he curses the whole detective business, lock, stock, and barrel. And sometimes he keeps very quiet and grips the side of the car desperately and tries not to inhale any fresh air. This was one of the quiet times.
Just go slowly, Archie, but get there as quickly as you can.
Oh, you don't want a chauffeur, Mr. Wolf. What you need is a magician.
Keep your eye on the road and don't strain yourself to make superfluous witticisms.
Why don't you try relaxing a little? I hear there hasn't been a man-eating tiger sighted on the Sawmill River Parkway in the last 500 years.
Your liberty is out of order. Don't try to make light of a deplorable situation.
Here's the sanatorium. And there's Dr. Townley coming to meet us.
It's terribly nice of you to have come, Mr. Wolf. I've heard about your aversion to traveling, and I appreciate your going to the trouble.
mention it. Oh, Archie, help me out with my other arm.
There we are. Now, calm down. You're all in one piece.
I think you'll find the trip highly profitable, Mr. Wolf. You'll consider it time very well.
Hey, what's the matter?
What is it? What happened?
He's been shot.
It's hardly likely. There wasn't a sound.
This kind of shot doesn't make a sound, boss.
What do you mean?
Better take a look for yourself. There's an arrow in his back, and he's dead. We remembered that Dr. Townley had said Diana Lawrence had won the Women's National Archery Tournament for 1947. The Lawrence house was visible through the trees 100 yards away, so we started for it and the sculptor's studio. There's no one around.
So this is his latest effort, Apollo and Ariadne.
Yeah. Done a little work on it since I was here. The Apollo's face is more finished and... Hey, boss.
Yes?
You know, somehow or other, Apollo looks a little familiar.
I wouldn't be surprised, Archie. I think if you examine it closely...
Wolf.
Our host.
You remember me, don't you? I met you once at a dinner party at your house, the time they opened the new museum on 67th Street.
Of course, Mr. Lawrence.
And to what do I owe the honor?
It's not much of an honor. Dr. Townley has been murdered.
No.
I am afraid Mr. Goodwin is being accurate.
He's been murdered with a bow and arrow. And what does that mean to you, Mr. Lawrence?
I'm sorry. I've been a fool. An awful fool.
You can't blame yourself too much. If you'd cooperated with the police instead of looking out for your daughter's interest, the man would still be alive.
But I assure you
Where's the girl?
She should be here now. She phoned me a while ago and said she was coming by for passage money to Rio.
You were looking for me?
Boss, Diana. Put the gun down, Angel.
And tie a rope around my neck?
Might I inquire if your plan is to kill us all, Miss Lawrence?
Oh, what would yours be if the world was after you for something you didn't do?
Wouldn't you be willing to risk persuading a jury of that?
Thanks, no. I'll skip that chance. Father, get me the money.
Diana, sweetheart, don't make me a part of your murders. That's asking too much of love.
Don't you know I'm not guilty?
No, Diana, I don't.
Leave that gun lay, Diana.
Hames.
Looks like I walked in on the nose.
That's him, boss, the guy who soused me.
Take a little of your own advice. Relax, Archie. What do you want here, Mr. Haynes?
I want to give up and try to straighten out this little deal. Mr. Lawrence.
Yes?
Here's your money back. You got a right to call me a welcher. I promised I wouldn't give evidence against the girl, and you paid my price. But enough is enough, and right here and now I'm unloading.
Just what does this mean?
It means I saw her do it.
Oh, you stupid, lying, rotten...
Oh, yeah?
Grab her, Archie. Grab her. Get the pair of them out of here.
What can I say to myself now? What can I do?
I'm sorry, Mr. Lawrence, but it's not necessary to eat your heart out. Many fathers before you have done their best and failed.
But I had a special duty toward Diana.
Special duty?
Yes. Well, you see, you'll find it out sooner or later, so I'd best tell you now. I'm not a real father. I adopted her 9 years ago, and she was 14.
I see.
And I should never have done it. I realize now that I wasn't equal to the task.
Well, all's not lost yet. They may not convict her, you know.
Eh?
I said they may not convict her.
But how could they fail to convict her? She killed Garth, didn't she?
Did she?
She shot him.
But the gun was in Townley's possession.
She could easily have stolen that. She could have broken into his office later. It wasn't locked.
What wasn't locked?
The Majolica cabinet. I
believe you mean what you said, Lawrence, the Majolica cabinet. For the life of me, I can't see how you could know whether it was locked or not, unless you had the experience of opening it. Could it be that you went looking for the gun yourself after Townley said he had confiscated it? That you killed Townley with a bow and arrow, which you handled as well as your daughter, because he was just on the point of telling me that you knew where the gun was, and that you were the likeliest murder suspect?
You must be mad.
Oh, sir, not I. But you are mad and more than a little. You hated Willard Garth. It was you who were making the marriage impossible. You loathed him, and in the end, you killed him.
How could I have killed him?
I'll tell you a little secret, Mr. Lawrence. The police found cigar ash in the dashboard tray of the death car. Chemical analysis showed that the ash was from an El Adoro cigar. What have you got in your left hand, sir?
In my... an El Adoro cigar. And in my right hand, a Derringer.
Powerful and admirable little weapon, Lawrence.
I suggest you show proper respect for it by dropping all this here and now.
You don't wish to hear me say the rest, that you were horribly in love with Diana, your own adopted daughter? In love and hopelessly, eternally frustrated? You begrudge me the triumph of accusing you of having bribed Haynes to let you take his place at the driver's seat of the limousine? And further bribed and threatened him into putting on his show of merry pranks and false confessions to confuse us all beyond measure?
You said I loved Diana. Would I do all this to her if I did?
Oh, but of course, such love as yours is really hate. You were content to see her dead rather than relinquish her. Like all miserly, small-hearted men, you would rather kill the thing you love than muster the generosity necessary to seeing it attain happiness.
That's enough out of you.
I should think it was much too much.
It is.
Archie, my boy, I'm grateful to you, both for coming back into the house when you did and for being such a good shot.
Hope you remember that next time you feel like insulting me.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me, what's with that cigar ash routine? Who told you the ashes in the limousine were from an El Adoro, boss? I never heard anything about that.
As a matter of fact, neither did I. No one could possibly have determined the brand by any chemical means in existence. I knew that, you see, and I took the long chance that Lawrence didn't.
Oh. But I still don't get the mainspring of the deal. How did you know he was in love with Diana?
That was genius. I have to admit it. You see, it all hinged on the statue of Apollo and Ariadne. According to the Greek myth, Apollo fell deeply in love with the nymph, but because they were of different worlds, he was condemned to pursue her always and never to catch her.
Well, what's that got to do with the price of eggs?
Isn't it perfectly obvious? Didn't he tell you that Diana had posed for the Ariadne?
Yeah, but I still don't...
And you yourself remarked on the fact that the finished Apollo looked somehow familiar, didn't you, Archie?
Yeah, I did, boss.
Don't you know why that was?
You mean that...
I mean that Michael Lawrence unconsciously revealed the true state of his heart. He didn't intend to, I suppose. But precisely and accurately, he chiseled the features of the tortured god in his very own image.
Oh.
And speaking of torture...
Yeah?
Will we be home in time for dinner?
Oh, boss, you can't be that hungry.
Oh, yeah, I am. Good heavens, Archie. Do you realize that I haven't eaten since lunch?
You have been listening to The New Adventures of Nero Wolfe, starring Sidney Greenstreet. Tonight's transcribed story by Peter Berry was based on the characters created by Rex Stout. This is an Edwin Fadiman program produced and directed by J. Donald Wilson. In the cast were Larry Dobkin as Archie Goodwin and Gigi Pearson, Ted Von Elst, Bill Johnstone, Peter Leeds, and Jay Novello. Next week at this same time, Nero Wolfe and Archie will bring you The Case of the Brave Rabbit. Don Stanley speaking. There's fun and laughs later tonight when Ed Archie Gardner stars as Archie the manager in Duffy's Tavern. As usual, Duffy won't be there, but Archie will be there, armed with his own whimsical version of the English language. Another Friday favorite you'll hear later is The Delightful Life of Riley, starring William Bendix as Chester A. Riley.